Sorry. Hello, my name is Jackie Quiroga, and today I will be sharing my S3 speech. Here are my notes. How relevant is the war on drugs on the United States today? What relevance does that hold on our society? What relevance does that hold on the residents of Bryan and College Station and college students that reside in this area? Mass incarceration is a humongous problem in our society today. Mass incarceration regarding drug-related crime. The solution I propose for this issue, for many people being incarcerated for drug-related crime, low offending crime like possession and drug usage, is decriminalizing drugs in order to reduce the effects of mass incarceration and increase the amount of treatment and rehabilitation given to drug users in need. Decriminalizing drugs proposes a solution to reduce mass incarceration rates, reduce overcrowding in federal prisons as well as jails, reduce the sentencing that is affecting individuals that are committing drug-related crime, and observing other countries that have already decriminalized drugs and are seeing the positive effects of it, as well as increasing the amount of treatment and rehabilitation given to drug users that are trying to be healthy and reintroduce themselves back into society by reaffirming the fact that they are productive members and not felons. Now, these harsh mandatory minimums are what is proposing the idea of kind of pulling back from treatment as people are afraid of becoming criminals for seeking out help that they need. Now, what are the effects of mass incarceration in the United States? The number one worst issue that we are dealing with today is overcrowding from the increases of individuals that are being incarcerated in the United States. Now, they are being incarcerated for things like low offending crimes like drug use and drug possession of illicit drugs and recreational drugs. We are seeing 2.3 million people, American citizens, in jails, in prisons, and in correctional facilities today. This is according to Wagner and Rabui in 2017. Now, we also see here on this diagram, again from Wagner and Rabui in 2017, that 1 in 5 incarcerated people are locked up for a drug offense. This means that in those 2.3 million people, and that's a rough estimate, 1 in 5 of every single one of those people are incarcerated for drug offense. This is non-violent drug offenses. Let me be clear on that. These are low offending drug possession and drug usage crimes. These individuals are being locked up for mandatory minimums up to 10 years, again, according to Wagner and Rabui. These non-violent drug-related crimes dominates our federal prison system. This is the majority of the individuals that are serving time in prison for crimes that are not as high offending as very high offending crimes like murder, like other kind of theft and things like that, that account for very high attributing crime rates in the United States. Now, what is the solution? Decriminalizing drugs can resolve this issue. We've seen it in other countries like Belgium, Switzerland, England, and the Netherlands. We've seen that decriminalizing drugs actually leads to a decrease of incarceration rates and an increase in treatment, which is what we are looking for. This is according to Brettville Jensen in 2009. Additionally, we see that Portugal actually decriminalized possession of small amounts of any kinds of drugs in 2001, again, according to Brettville and Jensen. As a result, we've seen lower incarceration rates, higher treatment rates. On this diagram that was again provided by, see here, Wagner and Rabui in 2017, we're seeing that there are over 1 million drug possession arrests each year. Now, this is drug possession. This is 6 times as many arrests for drug possession as for drug sales. So even the people that are selling these illicit drugs, there are 6 times the amount of incarcerated individuals that are just drug users or people that have drug possession. And these are recreational drugs, illicit drugs like marijuana. So we're seeing people across the world that this is working for them. Decriminalizing drugs is working, is promoting the idea that people should seek out help if they need it, but also have body autonomy and the ability to choose what they're putting into their body and choose how they choose to live and use recreational drugs on a day-to-day basis. While I do believe that the age for purchasing illicit drugs should be kept at the same age of smoking, of 21, of drinking, I do believe that we should have autonomy over our bodies in order to choose what we're putting into them and reduce the amount of people that are serving ridiculous mandatory minimums in our federal and state prisons for things like drug possession of marijuana, which we've already seen other states in the United States start to decriminalize. Now, what are the benefits of decriminalizing drugs? We talked a lot about, reducing the mass incarceration rates, increasing rehabilitation, but what kind of evidence can we observe from our own states in the United States? We have begun this trial of decriminalizing drugs in the United States, specifically with recreational marijuana use. And as we've seen in these states that have decriminalized marijuana, we see lower rates of drug use. And this is in places that have reduced penalties. Now you're thinking, how is that possible? If you have access to these drugs, why wouldn't you use them more? Now we actually see, according to DPA 2015, that when you have more access and more education about drug use and about recreational marijuana use, less people are interested in abusing this drug. Because it is so accessible and easy to use and not punishable, less people will go crazy over having the ability to use recreational marijuana. Now, this leads victims of drug use to feel like people when they seek treatment and not fear being felons or criminals for something that they genuinely need help for. And we're already observing this in our states. We're seeing increases in rehabilitation in the states that choose to decriminalize drugs. Now, again, how is this relevant to us as college kids? I am nearly positive that every single resident in the College Station and Bryan area have either come into contact with someone that is a drug user, have been educated about drug use sometime in their educational career, or have witnessed drug use themselves. I had never stopped to consider how this would affect people on a criminal level. Living in a state that does not decriminalize drugs means serving harsh mandatory minimums for something like drug possession. We don't see this for alcohol use. We don't see this for tobacco use, specifically for illicit recreational drugs. And so reducing harsh punishments may allow college-age students, young adults, and middle-aged individuals in this region to begin to take back their lives in autonomy and be able to use drugs and recreationally in an intelligent and safe way to avoid addiction, to avoid issues that may involve needing treatment and rehabilitation. All that I'm proposing is that we are decriminalizing drugs to reduce mass incarceration rates, reduce overcrowding in federal prisons and state prisons in order to open up the space for individuals that are committing high offending crimes, seeing it work in other countries that have already done this across the world, as well as the states in our own country, and promoting treatment for people. Us as a society, especially in the College Station and Bryan area, help others. And we can continue to help others by taking a stand to decriminalize drugs in our nation or in order to promote unity and help for all who need it. Thank you.